This time on Monkey Thieves. Little lost Teejay searches for his mum, but pays a heavy price in his bid to find her. The Galta Gang's arch-enemy Zamir homes in on his former family, but gets an unwelcome reception from some unexpected faces. And leader Kamal finally proves to Queen Rani he can strike gold. But is he biting off more than he can chew? It's early morning in the North Indian city of Jaipur. Rani, Kamal, and their 40 family members have had the worst few weeks of their lives since being kicked out of their palatial temple home. Now they scour the streets alongside 4,000 other city-living rhesus macaques, 20,000 stray dogs, and a menagerie of livestock, making Jaipur seem like the ultimate unfenced city farm. To make matters even worse, Rani's youngest son, Teejay, is still missing. He disappeared yesterday, following the gang's run-in with the town's monkey catcher. 8 months caring for and protecting her latest baby, not letting him out of sight for a single minute, Teejay suddenly vanishes into thin air. Rani has no idea whether he was captured or is still out there running free, or even if the little 8-month-old is still alive. One thing the troop's queen is sure of is that if the gang don't find a new base soon, the casualties will really start to stack up. If the monkey catcher doesn't get to them, starvation will. On the other side of town, former Galta Gang member and now arch-enemy Zamir is on a mission. He's just spent the past 8 months at a countryside retreat, a vacation awarded by Dana Lal, the city's monkey catcher, to any macaque caught causing trouble on the streets. Except Zamir has broken his bail and is back on the run. And back on Rani and the Galta Gang elite's trail. The big male heads towards Galta Temple, his former home, hoping to confront his old troop and once again challenge for position as Galta Gang leader. Zamir sticks to the back streets, avoiding danger. The last thing he wants is another one-way trip courtesy of Dana's monkey catcher tours. From a storm drain on the other side of town, someone decides it's time to make an appearance. Teejay. The little warrior runs for cover, unsure whether the monkey catcher is still on the lookout. Fortunately, Dana Long is long gone. But so are Mum Rani and the rest of the youngster's family. Until now, Teejay has never been alone. At the temple, there were places to hide, but it was never long before one of the gang tracked him down and pounced. Here in the bustling city, it's very different. Teejay knows he's completely on his own. And this gives the young tearaway an idea. With Mum Rani out of sight, the cable-craving youngster leaps at the opportunity to climb and swing to his heart's content, despite the electrifying danger. A grunt, or even just a glassy stare from his royal guardian would usually bring Teejay crashing back down to earth. But today, his health and safety officer is nowhere to be seen. Never before has not having Mum around been so much fun. Rhesus macaques are excellent climbers. Unlike humans, their toes operate just like fingers and thumbs. So, with the equivalent of 4 hands and a balance-assisting tail, Teejay would win the gymnastic gold in any competition. But Teejay soon realizes the true extent of his predicament. He's hungry, and he misses his family. Suddenly, he recognizes a familiar landmark. Galta Temple. Over in the quiet suburbs, Rani and the Galta Gang elite take a mid-morning break from looking for food. The troops still haven't had any sight of little Teejay, but his sister Isha has already found the perfect stand-in for her missing younger brother. This little street puppy has also been separated from his family. Away from the pack, he's open to danger. Several of the gang's youngsters poise to launch an attack. Isha makes the first move on the pint-sized mutt. The puppy doesn't know what to make of it. But the rules soon become clear. Biting, jumping, pulling, squashing, anything goes, as long as it doesn't hurt. Thousands of stray dogs roam Jaipur city streets, so clashes with monkey gangs are fairly common. Adult canines usually steer clear of adult macaques. But the youngsters of all species seem drawn to any opportunity to party and to play. But like all good games, this one comes to an end. Rani and the grown-ups call time on their youngsters' antics. There's still no sign of breakfast. At Galta Temple, Teejay enters the gates of his former home. Several weeks ago, the little wanderer and his family had no choice but to leave the complex. Here, there's everything a monkey could ever want. A constant supply of fresh spring water, pilgrims handing out food as they worship their gods, and a playground of diving pools, nooks and crannies, and climbing features that rival any theme park. Teejay makes his way towards the upper pool, hoping to bump into a familiar face. But suddenly sees why his family never came back here. Everywhere the youngster looks, he sees a black and white face staring back at him. Teejay is surrounded by the temple's new tenants, the Langors. Twice the size of macaques and more agile, escaping from these unruly rivals seems impossible. The little wanderer is terrified. On the far side of the city, Rani and the Galta Gang elite may have struck gold. Alpha male Kamal has led the troop to the city's grain market, and there's not a single rival monkey in sight. The market is the main supplier of wheat to flour mills and shops throughout the city. India is the second largest producer of wheat in the world, and Jaipur's state of Rajasthan is one of the country's major growing regions. Rani and the rest of the gang can't believe their eyes. Sack upon sack of grain, flour, and a whole variety of other delights line the depot. And more importantly, the goods are unguarded. The workers are practicing their poker skills, so the Galta Gang shuffle into action. It's all hands on deck. It may not taste quite the same, but just a fistful of flour has around 4 times the energy value of a medium-sized banana. Just one of these sacks holds the calorie equivalent of over 800 pieces of Isha's favorite fruit. There's no rival competition, no resistance from the staff, and no end to the food supply. The grain market is a promising new base. Kamal has come up trumps at last. Rani still senses that something isn't quite right. The workers look far too relaxed. She knows from experience that if something seems too good to be true, it probably is. Back at the temple, little Teejay faces the rivals. But rather than meeting a flash of teeth and clatter of claws, the temple's lofty landlords welcome the youngster with open arms. It's a simple case of, you scratch my back, and I'll scratch yours. Young macaques and langurs aren't seen as a threat by either species. Adults tolerate each other's youngsters' playful interactions. This acceptance also generally applies to adult females. But men in both groups draw the line. Suddenly, an alarming sound echoes throughout the temple. It's the Langur warning call, meaning predator or intruder. Teejay stops grooming his new friend. The adult Langurs head towards the lower entrance and the source of the commotion. Whatever it is, it isn't welcome. Eager to see what all the fuss is about, Teejay finally gets a glimpse of the invader and suddenly realizes it's one of his own. And possibly the return of his lost family. But at second glance, his hopes are dashed. It's a macaque he doesn't recognize. And he doesn't look at all happy with the temple's new tenants. Zamir cannot believe his eyes. There's no sign of Rani or any of his former troop. Instead, just a sea of Langurs, all edging closer, forcing him to retreat. Zamir could force his way into the temple. One-on-one, he'd defeat each of the lanky layabouts, but he's completely outnumbered. He's after Rani and his old troop, not the temple. So this particular fight can wait for another day. By the upper temple entrance, Teejay has seen enough. The Langur's standoff with Zamir reminds the youngster that he needs the security of his family. The little wanderer heads out of the complex and continues his search for Mum. Back at the grain market, Rani and the rest of her gang relax after an afternoon of unchallenged raids. The Hessian-covered food cache has proved to be a huge success for struggling alpha male Kamal. He even seems to be smarting at the triumph of sealing ownership of this new prime patch of monkey turf. Rani still isn't convinced the gang are completely welcome. Suddenly, she freezes with fright. The grain market is being patrolled by a monster. The giant Langur looks terrifying. It flashes its fangs, a clear sign it could attack at any moment. Kamal scarpers, leaving Rani and the rest of the troop open to danger. Fortunately, 42-year-old mime artist Guda only means to scare the macaques. His job is to send a message that this trading territory is out of bounds. Guda's bluff has proved to be the ace up many a local trader's sleeve. He gives the macaques their marching orders by sending shivers down their spines. Cowardly Kamal, the gang's so-called protector, is nowhere to be seen. So Rani and the rest of the troop have no choice but to scurry for safety outside the depot walls. One kilometer away, Teejay hits the high ground as he searches for any sign of his troop. The cable-craving youngster finds a lookout tower to scan the city horizon. The majority of cables spanning the streets are insulated and safe. But Jaipur's high-powered electricity pylons claim over 100 monkey victims every year. Teejay is living dangerously. And with no mum Rani to keep him in check and halt his risky behavior, he once again puts his life on the line. Late afternoon, Rani and her troop are back where they started the day. There's still no sign of little Teejay, and someone else has also gone AWOL. Just when Kamal's leadership abilities in finding a new home seem to be blossoming, he showed his true colors as a feeble protector. He fled in the face of danger and left his family open to attack. Rani once again appears disappointed in her choice of partner. And with old enemy Zamir back on the city streets, never before has she needed a strong guardian more than now. Rani's day could get a lot worse, if only she knew of events across town. Little Teejay has finally paid the price for his pylon climbing passion. The power lines carry thousands of volts, and the youngster has suffered a huge electric shock. The debris in his dried-out water trough may have cushioned his fall. But the deep structure also conceals him from any passing pilgrims who could raise the alarm. Teejay's life hangs by a thread. Next time on Monkey Thieves, Rani and the Galta Gang elite stumble across some former friends. But the reception is anything but warm. Kamal's position as leader turns to tatters, so the big male takes emergency action. And a passing pilgrim discovers Teejay. But is it all a little too late?